Krishna. So how was the day? Tiring? Huh? Demanding? Thank you very much. And so, as I told you earlier, that we may not be able to cover the entire Uddhav Gita, but we'll see how much we can cover, but the rest we'll leave up to you all to cover and continue to study Uddhav Gita. Prabhupada said that we should not jump to the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. But jumping to 11th canto, there is no problem. Provided you have studied Bhagavad Gita properly. Study Bhagavad Gita properly, and of course, I am confident that you are studying Srimad Bhagavatam regularly. These two books, these two scriptures, read very, very attentively. Make it a point to read Bhagavad Gita every day and Srimad Bhagavatam every day. Even if it is one page, even if it is one shlok with translation and Srila Prabhupada's purport, make it a point to read. Because these two scriptures will keep you acquainted to Krishna consciousness. These two scriptures will keep you in touch with the spiritual sky. We are chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, but it is important to know why you are chanting this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Our understanding is based on three aspects of spiritual realization. They are Sambandha, Abhidheya, and Prayojan. Sambandha, relationship. What is our relationship with Krishna? Who is Krishna? And Abhidheya, how can we re-establish our relationship with Krishna? And Prayojan, what is the necessity? Why do we need to establish our relationship with Krishna? So these three aspects are very, very essential to be completely become conversant with. We have to know who is Krishna. Reading Bhagavad Gita will make you understand that. Give you a very clear understanding of who are you and who is Krishna. And this will lead you to Srimad Bhagavatam, which will enable you to understand how to develop our relationship with Krishna. And it will also reveal to you what the prayojan is, what is the necessity. And Uddhav Gita is the culmination of that realization. It's a very, very important scripture, and if you study Uddhav Gita carefully, you will see everything will become crystal clear. So, this aspect of today that we are going to discuss now, the chapter 12. Chapter 12 describes beyond renunciation and knowledge. We discussed about fruitive activity and the futility of materialistic endeavor for sense gratification. We understood the importance of renunciation, whether we liked it or not. But we at least theoretically understood the importance of renunciation. And then we also acquired the knowledge about the knowledge about Krishna, knowledge about the spiritual sky, knowledge about the spiritual reality. And now we are going to go beyond that. You want to go beyond that? Do you want to go high? And stay high forever? No come down? Stay high. That's Krishna consciousness. Stay high forever. So beyond renunciation, what is beyond renunciation and knowledge? Beyond renunciation and knowledge is pure devotional service. What are you practicing in ISKCON? What are you practicing? Impure devotional service or pure devotional service? In ISKCON, you are practicing pure devotional service. So that's why we have to, as I told you earlier, like through all these scriptures, through all these discussions, we are simply understanding the importance of what we are practicing. We are simply understanding that this is the best. Is there anyone who wants to compromise with something lesser than the best? No one? What an august assembly. Very good. Naturally, why should we settle for anything less than the best? I remember Ranjit Ramnarayan. Ranjit is from South Africa. He used to run the most, I would say, not the most, the best transport company and the most largest transport company in South Africa. And he's retired from his business. That's why I said that he used to. And one day, and he took me. I mean, I used to go to his workplace, and one day he told me that one principle that he follows, that he makes it a point to have the best. So he had the best trucks, Mercedes, and he had a fleet of 500 trucks, all Mercedes-Benz, and all in spick and span condition. Like, he showed me actually a new one and an old one, side by side. It was practically, I couldn't make out the difference between the new one and the used one. Like, he showed me that every morning all the trucks are completely washed clean. And in that respect, I can also point out that Ranjit started his career with a second-hand truck, just a small little truck, transporting something, some goods. And over a period of time, he built an empire. Like, why? Because of his outlook that he could develop such a business. Ranjit's good friend is also Jamna Das. He also runs a chemical factory. And when you go to his factory, you see, absolutely it's clean and spick and span. So it is the outlook that brings one to the height of success. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada gave us the best. Prabhupada himself did not compromise for anything less, and Prabhupada did not offer us anything less. He didn't want us to settle for anything less than the best. Whether material or spiritual, we should go for the best. I mean, if we are going to go for it. Otherwise, let's go to the forest. And I'll say, even if we go to the forest, we'll make it a point to go to the best forest. What is that forest? Vrindavan. So that is the intelligent approach to life. Do we settle for anything less than the best? Anyway, so beyond renunciation and knowledge, what kind of knowledge? This is also important to consider. What is this knowledge that Krishna is talking about here? This knowledge is not material knowledge. This knowledge is not the knowledge about this material nature. This knowledge is the knowledge about the spiritual sky. According to Vedic understanding, people will be shocked to hear knowledge about the material knowledge is not knowledge. It's ignorance. Knowledge about the material reality, material nature, is ignorance. And the real knowledge is the knowledge about the spiritual sky. So, we are naturally delving in and probing into, or rather first would be probing into and delving in, dwelling in the transcendental knowledge. Knowledge about the spiritual sky, knowledge about our actual identity, knowledge about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and also the knowledge about this material nature in relation to Krishna. That is what we want to actually want to know. knowledge of this material nature in relation to Krishna. So this chapter begins with Krishna telling Uddhav, my dear Uddhav, by associating with my pure devotees, one can destroy one's attachment to all objects of material sense gratification. All objects of sense gratification. So what does association of pure devotees do? It's actually a very dangerous thing. There is a saying that it's a verse from one of the scriptures that says that if you still have attachment to your family, friends, etc., etc., then go near Keshi Ghat, where under the Keli Kadamba tree, Krishna is playing his flute. Because if you do that, then all your attachments will be gone. In a way, it's a very dangerous situation. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, when somebody used to come and offer obeisances to him, he used to say, there is an expression in Bengali, Sarvanash. Sarva means all, and Nash means destroy. So he used to say that your everything will be destroyed. So the same thing is being said here, that if we associate with a pure devotee of Krishna, then all your material attachments will be destroyed. This association of devotees will destroy all your attachments to material sense gratification. Therefore, be careful before you step into this process. In a way, sometimes it may sound, oh, it's such a cruel process. But one thing you also should remember, Krishna is very merciful. Krishna doesn't do things unless you are ready for it. Just as an expert doctor doesn't give the medicine that you won't be able to digest. He knows your ability to accept or digest, and accordingly he gives you the medicine. Similarly, Krishna gives you the medicine accordingly. It is not that all of a sudden you'll find that everything is gone. No, it's not like that. In a very sweet way, Krishna will increase your attachment to Krishna himself, and as a result of that, you will gradually lose your attachment to other things. And this detachment is not going to be sudden or abrupt or unpleasant. It's a very pleasant way of doing things. In Krishna consciousness, you will notice one thing, that whatever happened to your life is simply to bring you to this point. If you consider your past, didn't everything happen in a perfect way to bring you to this point? And isn't this point the most wonderful phase? So similarly, what will happen to your future also is the perfect arrangement by Krishna to take you to that point. And on top of everything, Krishna has given us a process that is called Yukta Vairagya. Yukta Vairagya. You don't have to give everything up. It's simply freeing yourself from the attachment by developing the real attachment. What is, if we consider, what is our attachment for in this material nature today? All these attachments are actually based on our body. But what Krishna will do, he will detach you from those bodily attachments and enable you to develop your attachment to everything through Krishna. You know, like if we try to give an example like this, two branches are attached to, connected to each other in this way. Is this branching one leaning onto other or being connected to other? Is it real connection? Two branches are just touching each other? Is it a real connection? No. But then both the branches go to the root. Then don't they find the real connection to each other? Because where does the real connection lie? Just by two branches being together, or the real connection is through the root? Similarly, when we develop our Krishna consciousness, we go to the root. And that is how we find our real connection with each other. You don't lose anything in Krishna consciousness, but you gain everything. That is what Krishna consciousness, that's what Krishna consciousness offers. So when you associate with a pure devotee of the Lord, then you realize the futility of just touching each other, just two branches touching each other. Then you find out that your real connection is through the root. Then will you remain connected to each other, remain attached to each other through this just physical connection? No. That is what Krishna consciousness is offering us. Krishna is the root of everything. When we become connected to Krishna, then we re-establish our relationship not only with Him, we also re-establish our relationship with His every part and parcel. Therefore, don't be afraid to progress in Krishna consciousness. Even though I may present it in an inappropriate way. Don't be shocked with that. Like it is the perfect process that leads us to the ultimate fulfillment of our existence. In Krishna consciousness, we are not promoting that everybody should become a brahmachari or sannyasi, everybody should move into the temple. No. In Krishna consciousness, we are also saying, fine, if you want to be a householder, fine, go get married. But become a householder, ideal householder, grihastha. Don't become henpecked grihamedhis. That's what we are saying. We don't say that, don't pursue a career or don't become involved in materialistic activities for your livelihood. But we say that do it in a Krishna conscious way. That is the meaning of Yukta Vairagya. Yukta. Detachment. Yukta means connection, and Vairagya means renunciation or detachment. So isn't it both the words contradictory? Connected detachment? Yes. The connected detachment is you become detached to material nature by being connected to Krishna. Sthane sthitva, being wherever you are, just being situated wherever you are. Shruti gatan, following the injunctions of the scriptures. Just become engaged in your activities with body, mind and words, with Krishna in the center. Such purifying association, the association of a pure devotee is all purifying. It's not harmful, it's beneficial. It's not painful, it's ecstatic. And it's all purifying. So this is what we have to understand. The association of pure devotees, association with pure devotees will destroy all attachment to all material, all objects of material sense gratification. And this is considered to be the purifying effect of the association of a pure devotee. And what happens as a result of that? It brings Krishna under his control. Can you imagine the Supreme Personality of Godhead comes under the control of that person who associates with the pure devotees, and as a result of that who has become free from all material attachments, then Krishna comes under his control. And then Krishna is saying, it's giving all kinds of possibilities. But then Krishna says that all these will not be able to bring Krishna under their control. Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga. One may perform Ashtanga Yoga, engage in philosophical analysis of elements of material nature, which is Sankhya, practice of non-violence and other ordinary principles of piety, chant the Vedas, perform penances, take to renounced order of life, execute sacrificial performances, and dig wells, plant trees, and perform other public welfare activities, give in charity, carry out severe vows, worship the demigods, chant confidential mantras, visit holy places, or accept major and minor disciplinary injunctions. But even by performing such activities, one does not bring me under his control. None of these things, none of these activities, no matter how expertly executed, will not be able to bring Krishna under their control. The only thing that brings Krishna under his control, under one's control, is pure devotional service, which happens due to the association of a pure devotee. And see how powerful the association of a pure devotee is. One pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada, created this process for the entire world, enabled everyone, enabled innumerable living entities to have access to this process, which is extremely rare. So this is the benefit of pure devotees association. Just one pure devotees association, you'll see, has changed the whole world. In course of time we will see. We can't even imagine what's going to happen to this world another 50, 60, 100 years. You can't imagine. And this is all because of one pure devotee. One pure devotee left Vrindavan and went to the United States of America, and it has changed the whole facet of this world. We are too close to Srila Prabhupada to understand that. Over a period of time, you'll see the effect. Just like I tell you very frankly, 30 years back, we could never think that all of you will be sitting here and listening to Uddhav Gita. Because why I'm saying it is because those days hardly any Indians joined the movement. 30 years back, where were you? So such a big change has taken place in 30 years' time. So what to speak of another 30 years, another 50 years, another 100 years. 100 years means 3 generations. And the way the things are changing. I'll give you an example. About 35 years back, going to the colleges to preach to the students in India, was practically impossible. I'm talking about my experience in Bengal. Bengal at that time was under very, very intense influence of communism. Students were not at all interested in listening to spiritual topics. And, like that was the state of affairs in the colleges. But today, like we go to, as I was mentioning, the IIT is the most prestigious university, prestigious education, one of the most prestigious educational institutions in India. We go to IIT, the directors of the institute escorts us to the class, gets the whole faculty, all students and all the faculty members sit there and listen to us. And he sits next to us. Sometimes he sits in the audience because he says that I can hear you better when I sit there than sit here. See, in 30 years' time, things have changed so much. Those days we couldn't even think of going to IIT and giving lecture on Krishna consciousness. So this is how things are changing. So in one generation, in 30 years, things have changed so much. So what to speak of 3 generations from today? Anyway, at least I can say that I am extremely optimistic about the future of ISKCON. And in that respect, I can also say Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur were also extremely optimistic about the future of this movement. So I'm not an oddball. In every yuga, many living entities entangled in the modes of passion and ignorance gained the association of my devotees. In every yuga, many living entities, those who are completely entangled in the mode of passion and ignorance, by gaining the association of the pure devotees, achieved the ultimate success of life like this. So Krishna is making that point. In every yuga, many living entities entangled in the modes of passion and ignorance gain the association of my devotees. Thus, such living entities, just listen carefully, who are those living entities? Daitas. Daitas means demons, Rakshasas, birds, beasts, Gandharvas, Apsaras, Nagas, Siddhas, Charanas, Gujjakas and Vidyadharas, as well as such lower class human beings as the Vaishyas, Sudras, women and others were able to achieve my supreme abode. So this indicates that association of pure devotee is so powerful that anyone can get purified. Even the animals can get purified. Even the demons can get purified. Do you remember when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was just traveling through the forest of Jharikhanda? When he was traveling through the forest of Jharikhanda, what happened? The animals became Krishna conscious. So that is the power of course one may say Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a pure devotee. Who is standing there? Haribol. Who is behind the curtain? If you want to come in, just come in. Why are you just kneeling, sitting there? So, this is how the pure devotional service or association of a pure devotee, this is how it affects the living entities. It doesn't matter from which background one is coming. Like demons can become, like who are the Daitas? Who is a Daita? Can you think of the example of a Daita becoming a pure devotee? Prahlad Maharaj. Rakshasa becoming a pure devotee? Vibhishan, Ravan's brother, became a pure devotee. Bird, Garuda, Aruna. And so many, these are just some extreme examples, the most exalted examples, but there are so many such. Snakes became pure devotees, so many, just ordinary snakes. There's an incident, one snake came across Narad Muni. And he became a pure devotee. And Narad Muni advised him that give up your violent nature, just don't harm anybody. And chant the holy name of the Lord. So the snake was doing that. So one day Narad Muni came across the snake and he found that the snake was in a bad shape. His body was, scales were coming out. He was looking very miserable. So Narad Muni asked him, what happened? He said, you see, since I came across you, I took to the process of devotional service and I gave up my violent nature. I stopped biting people. And now as they see me, they throw stones at me. They get whatever they can get hold of and they just throw it at me. And as a result of that, anyway, I'm okay. Then Narad Muni said, okay, I told you not to bite. But did I ever tell you not to show your hood and hiss? So the point is that even a snake became a devotee of the Lord just by coming in contact with Narad Muni. You know a bandit, a terrible bandit, dacoit, Ratnakar, just by coming in contact with Narad Muni, he became a pure devotee. What was his name? Valmiki. From Dashu, from a dacoit, he became a pure devotee of the Lord. Therefore, it doesn't matter which background you're coming from, where you're coming from, it doesn't matter. When you take to the process that is offered by a pure devotee, and if you practice it properly, you'll become purified. And those days, early days, it was just a rare occasion. Like some rare individuals used to have that opportunity. But Srila Prabhupada has created a mass opportunity, massive opportunity for the mass. Those days, 1 or 2 people used to get the opportunity. But through ISKCON, what Srila Prabhupada has done? Prabhupada has given this opportunity, made this opportunity available to the mass. Hundreds, thousands. It'll reach up to millions. This is the power of a pure devotee. So Krishna actually mentioned some of those individuals. Britrasura became a pure devotee. Prahlad, Vrishaparva. Vrishaparva was the king of the demons. He was the father of Sharmishtha, who got married to Jajati king. Yesterday we were talking about Jadu, King Jadu. Sharmishtha and Brihaspati's daughter was Sharmishtha, who got married to King Jajati, and their son was Jadu. And from Jadu came this Jadu dynasty where Krishna appeared. It was actually a demon. But he became a pure devotee by the association of Narad Muni. Bali Maharaj, Banasura, Mayadana, Bibhishan, Sugriv, Hanuman, Jambavan, Gajendra, Jatayu, Tuladhar, Dharmavyad is a hunter whose occupation was to kill animals. Krishna is describing him as a pure devotee. Kubja, the gopis of Vrindavan and the wives of the brahmanas who were performing sacrifice, Jaggic brahmanas. And then Krishna is saying the persons that I have mentioned, they did not undergo any serious studies of the Vedic literatures. They did not perform any severe austerities or worship the great saintly person or worship demigods or perform some very, very exalted vows. They didn't have any of these qualifications. They didn't undergo any of these processes. Studying of the Vedas, performing austerities, performing sacrifices, etc., etc. But their only qualification was that they associate with a pure devotee. And the result is, they became pure devotees themselves. Simply by association with me and my devotees, they achieved me. Now, association of Krishna is rare. How many people can have access to Krishna's association? But Krishna's devotees' association is not that rare. And Krishna is telling, in some other places we'll find, that Krishna is telling that his devotees' association is more powerful than his association. Why? Because Krishna doesn't want to give himself. But a devotee readily gives Krishna. The inhabitants of Vrindavan, the gopis, cows, unmoving creatures such as Jamalarjun trees, animals, living entities with stunted consciousness such as bushes and thickets, and snakes such as Kalia, all achieve the perfection of life by unalloyed love for me, and thus very easily achieved me. So, Krishna is now talking about the good fortune of the residents of Vrindavan. Of course, here we have to remember, Krishna is speaking to Uddhav. Like, to Uddhav, Vrindavan was just next door. And the residents of Vrindavan were just like some people living in Indore from here. Or those who are living in Durban, the way they think about the people, those who are living in Pietermaritzburg. So Krishna's description to Uddhav was something like that, you know. He is speaking about the good fortune of the residents of Vrindavan. I mean, we know how exalted the residents of Vrindavan are, but to Krishna or to Uddhav, it may not have sounded like that. So Krishna is just telling them about the exalted position of the residents of Vrindavan. Then Krishna is elaborately describing that. Listen to this very carefully. The residents of Vrindavan, headed by the gopis, were always completely attached to me with deepest love. The gopis were attached to Krishna with the deepest love. Therefore, when my uncle Akrura brought me and my brother Balaram to the city of Mathura, the residents of Vrindavan suffered extreme mental distress because of separation from me and could not find any other source of happiness. Their only source of happiness was Krishna. Therefore, when that source of happiness was gone, they were plunged into an ocean of suffering, an ocean of agony. And then Krishna is describing, my dear Uddhav, all those gopis, when they spend their nights with me, who was their most beloved, in the land of Vrindavan, seemed to them to pass in less than a moment. Bereft of my association, however, the gopis felt that those same nights dragged on forever. When they were with Krishna, one night appeared to be just like a moment. And when they are separated from Krishna, those nights seem to just drag on and on and on endlessly. Dragged on forever, as if each night were equal to a day of Brahma. Does it sound familiar? The verse from Shikshashtakam? How many of you remember that? Very good. Yugaitang nimeshena chakshusha prabrishaitam shunnaitam jagat sarvam govinda virahena me. So that is love. When that object of love is there, then you completely forget time. And when that person is not there in his separation, it seems as if time is not moving at all. Then Krishna is giving an example. Just as the yogis in their yoga trance merge into self-realization, just as the rivers merge into the ocean and are thus not aware of their names and forms, when they merge, then they lose their identity. Right? For example, Ganga. When Ganga merges into the ocean, what happens to Ganga? Ganga's identity is lost. Similarly, the gopis of Vrindavan were so attached to me within their minds that they could not think of their own bodies. In their Krishna consciousness, they did not have any awareness of their bodies or of this world or of their future lives. Their entire consciousness was simply bound up in me. So in this way, we can understand from this description what happens when we achieve Krishna consciousness, when we become Krishna conscious. In simple words, just as when Ganga merges into ocean, Ganga loses her identity. When a devotee becomes Krishna conscious, he loses his identity in Krishna. That is the meaning of becoming Krishna consciousness. No more self-consciousness. It's all Krishna consciousness. But at the same time, he maintains his service attitude. That is the difference between Sajujya Mukti and pure devotional service. In Sajujya Mukti, they really do lose their identity in that Brahman. But in devotional service, one maintains his identity, but his consciousness is completely absorbed in Krishna due to his love for him. See, in love, that's the thing in the loving relationship. Both the individuals have their identity intact, but their consciousness becomes one in love. And that is what Krishna consciousness does. We become so absorbed in Krishna that in spite of having our separate identity, we forget about ourselves and everything else. All these hundreds of thousands of gopis, understanding me to be their most charming lover and ardently desiring me in that way, were unaware of my actual position. They didn't care whether Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead or not. Their only concern was, I love you. I don't care who you are. I don't know who you are. I don't know whether you're big or small. I don't know whether you're great or insignificant. I don't know whether you're famous or infamous. All I feel is that I can't help but love you. They didn't care whether Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead or not. And that is what happens in love. An example in that respect, when the son becomes a very big person, son became the prime minister, does the mother feel her love for her son have anything to do with his position as the prime minister? Or to the mother, it's naturally the motherly affection flows for him as a son. So that was the position, that was the feeling or the situation of the gopis of Vrindavan in love for Krishna. They were simply in love with Krishna. They didn't love Krishna because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They loved him because they couldn't help but love him. And that's why in Vrindavan Krishna is Krishna, all attractive. Everyone is attracted to him because he is all attractive. How can you not become attracted to the all attractive? How can you not become attracted to the all attractive? And then who that all attractive is doesn't matter. Really, all you care, all you feel is that there is an irresistible urge to love him. That is Vrindavan. That is Krishna in Vrindavan, and that are the residents of Vrindavan. I'll read this part again. All these hundreds of thousands of gopis, understanding me to be their most charming lover and ardently desiring me in that way, were unaware of my actual position. Yet, by intimately associating with me, the gopis attained me, the Supreme Absolute Truth. They loved him without any return, without any expectation. But because they loved Krishna, they attained the Supreme Absolute Truth. Therefore, a good lesson to learn here. When we develop our relationship with Krishna, there should not be any other expectation but just to love him. No other expectation. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundari. No expectation. Just love him because he is the supreme object of love. And by developing our love for him, we will achieve the ultimate perfection of our existence. That's what Krishna consciousness offers. Therefore, my dear Uddhav, abandon the Vedic mantras as well as the procedures for supplementary Vedic literatures and their positive and negative injunctions. Disregard that which has been heard and that which is to be heard. Simply take shelter of me alone, for I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead, situated within the heart of all conditioned souls. Take shelter of me wholeheartedly, and by my grace, be free from fear in all circumstances. So this is actually the ultimate culmination of that verse, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja. Aham tvang sarva papibhyo mokshayishyami ma sujaha. So that was in one level, that assurance. But this one is in the highest level. That is why Uddhav Gita is so special. That's why we have to remember, Bhagavad Gita is the prelude to Srimad Bhagavatam. And Uddhav Gita is the conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam. When Bhagavad Gita ended, Bhagavatam began. And after describing everything up to the point of Samam Bonam, the ultimate point, 10th canto, Krishna in Vrindavan. We are coming to this point of 11th canto, Uddhav Gita. I'll read this translation again. Therefore, my dear Uddhav, abandon the Vedic mantras, Sarva Dharman Parityajya, right? So what is that Sarva Dharman Parityajya is being explained here. Abandon the Vedic mantra. By the way, those days there was no Islam, Christian, Hindus and so forth. Krishna was not talking about giving up those dharmas. There was no Christianity, no Judaism, no Islam, no Hindus. So Krishna was not talking about abandoning those dharmas. The dharma that Krishna was talking about is abandon the Vedic mantras as well as the procedures of supplementary Vedic literatures and their positive and negative injunctions. Disregard that which has been heard and that which is to be heard. Simply take shelter of me alone, for I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead, situated within the heart of all conditioned souls. Take shelter of me wholeheartedly, and by my grace be free from fear in all circumstances. Then Uddhav told Krishna, O Lord of all masters and mystic power, I have heard your words, but the doubt in my heart does not go away. Thus my mind is bewildered. Although you are giving me all this wonderful instruction, but I still can't be free from my doubts. But the doubts in my heart does not go away, thus my mind is bewildered. Then what Krishna said in response to that? My dear Uddhav, the Supreme Lord, that means me, gives life to every living being. And situated within the heart, along with the life air and primal sound vibration, the Lord can be perceived in His subtle form within the heart by one's mind. The Lord can be perceived, He is there. He can be perceived within the heart through the mind, through the process of meditation. Since the Lord controls the mind of everyone, even great mystic demigods like Lord Shiva, the Supreme Lord also assumes a gross form as the various sounds of the Vedas, composed of short and long vowels and consonants of different intonations. So here we have to see, we have to understand that when Krishna is speaking about the Supreme Lord gives life to every living being who is situated in the heart and so forth, he is talking about the Super Soul. That is not actually exactly him. It's his expansion. That's why he is identifying. In Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna said, Ishvara sarva bhutanam hriddeshe arjuna tishtati. So Ishvara sarva bhutanam Riddhesya Arjuna Tishtati. Here also Krishna is saying the same thing. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Lord, gives life to every living being and is situated within the heart along with the life air and primal sound vibration. The Lord is existing there with a primal sound vibration. What is the sound vibration? That sound vibration is Om. When you breathe, that sound vibration automatically comes out. We don't only hear it. We don't need to hear it because let us hear Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And another way, the Supreme Lord assumes a gross form as the various sounds of the Vedas. The Vedic mantras are also manifestation of Krishna. Of course, that process is not meant for us, but since Krishna mentioned it here, let us discuss about that. Krishna gives an example. When sticks, there are certain sticks, those days there were matchboxes. There was no matchboxes or lighters. You know how they used to make fire? They used to rub a special kind of wood called aruni wood. They would rub the wood and as a result of rubbing, the fire would come up. When sticks of kindling wood means aruni wood, are vigorously rubbed together, heat is produced by contact with air. When they rub together, heat is produced with the contact of air, and a spark of fire appears. As a result of that, the spark of fire appears. Once the fire is kindled, ghee is added and the fire blazes. Similarly, I become manifest in the sound vibration of the Vedas. Just as from aruni wood fire appears, through a gradual process, from the Vedic sound vibration, Krishna becomes manifest. That is one aspect of Krishna. The functions of the working senses, the organ of speech, the hands, the legs, the genital and the anus, and the functions of the knowledge-acquiring senses, the nose, tongue, eyes, skin and ears, along with the functions of the subtle senses of mind, intelligence and consciousness and false ego, as well as function of the subtle pradhan and interaction of the three modes of material nature, all these should be understood as my materially manifested form. This is another way of looking at Krishna, through Sankhya, analytical study. Because since all these are coming from Krishna, one can see them also as Krishna. These are some very philosophical points, and my suggestion, these things are not so important for us. These are for those who want to take that path. Our path is very simple, what Krishna actually described before. Association of pure devotee leading to pure devotional service. But still, I thought it is important. We can read and discuss a little bit. When many seeds are placed in an agricultural field, innumerable manifestations of trees, bushes, vegetables and so on will arise from a single source, the soil. Right? Different seeds fall on the soil and different types of plants and trees become manifest. But what is the foundation? What is the basis? What is the source of that manifestation? The seeds are there, but the soil is the source of manifestation. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who gives life to all and is eternal, originally exists beyond the scope of cosmic manifestation. So this is what Sankhya always leads to. Analyze the material nature and transcend the material nature. So that Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom all these have become manifest, is actually beyond this visible reality, perceivable reality. In the course of time, however, the Lord, who is the resting place of the three modes of nature and the source of the universal lotus flower in which the cosmic manifestation takes place, divides his material potencies and thus appears to be manifest in innumerable forms, although he is one. Just as woven cloth rests on the expansion of lengthwise and crosswise threads, similarly the entire universe is expanded on the lengthwise and crosswise potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is situated within Him. So, what is a cloth? Have you seen how the cloth is woven? One rows of threads going this way. Actually, two rows go this way. Two rows. And another row passes through that. Like they make it with a, whatever it's called. Like it goes up and down, carrying the rope, carrying the thread. So cloth is actually woven crosswise and lengthwise, right? That is how it is resting. That is how it's a cloth. The threads woven together, simple words. So similarly, the Lord's energy, two aspects of His energy are together giving rise. One is crosswise, one is one way, the other is another way, gives rise to the material manifestation. Situated within Him. What are those two sets of energies in that case? One is the material energy, other is the spiritual energy. Material nature and living entities. That is giving rise to this material manifestation. The conditioned soul has been accepting material bodies since time immemorial. And these bodies are like great trees sustaining one's material existence. Just as a tree first blossoms and then produces fruit, similarly the tree of material existence, one's material body, produces the various results of material existence. Then Krishna makes an allegorical analysis of this material nature. He is saying the tree of material existence, like in Bhagavad Gita also, you remember, Krishna gave the example of material nature as a tree. Which verse is that? Urdha mulam adhashakham ashatham prahurabhayam. There he gave one analogy. It's a tree which has its branches downwards and root upwards. But here he is giving a more elaborate example. He says, this tree of material existence has 2 seeds, hundreds of roots, 3 lower trunks and 5 upper trunks. It produces 5 flavors and has 11 branches and a nest made by 2 birds. The tree is covered by 3 types of bark, gives 2 fruits, and extends up to the sun. This material nature, according to Krishna's description, extends up to the sun. Those lusty after material enjoyment and dedicated to family life enjoy one of the tree's fruits, and swan-like men in the renounced order of life enjoy the other fruit. This tree has 2 fruits. The householders enjoy one kind of fruit, and the sannyasis enjoy the other kind of fruit. And brahmacharis, no fruit. One who, with the help of a bona fide spiritual master, can understand this tree to be a manifestation of the potency of the one supreme truth appearing in many forms, actually knows the meaning of the Vedic literatures. Chandangshi jassa patrani jastam veda sa veda vid. One who knows the Vedas knows the leaves of the tree to be the Vedic hymns. So what did Krishna say, exemplifying this tree? This tree has 2 seeds. What are those 2 seeds? Piety and sin. These are the true 2 fruits of the tree. It has hundreds of roots. What are those hundreds of roots? The material desires. And 3 lower trunks. The 3 lower trunks are the 3 modes of material nature. And 5 upper trunks are the material elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. It produces 5 flavors. What are those? If you want to give the class, come here. It produces 5 flavors. Those 5 flavors are 5 sense objects. And it has 11 branches. Those 11 branches are the senses and the mind. 10 senses and 1 internal sense, that is the mind. The 2 birds actually make a nest. Who are those 2 birds? Those 2 birds are the super soul and the spirit soul. The tree is covered by 3 types of bark. Those 3 types of bark that Krishna is talking about are the 3 types of rasas. They're the bile, air and mucus. Mucus, bile and air. And it has 2 fruits. The 2 fruits are happiness and distress. The householders eat 1 fruit. Don't be surprised and disappointed. They eat the fruit that is distress. One fruit is distress, and the other fruit is happiness. And sannyasis eat the other fruit, that is happiness. Anyway, this is the analogy that Krishna is giving, and he is saying that this understanding becomes clear from the Vedic mantras by the proper instruction of a spiritual master. And then Krishna is saying, with steady intelligence you should develop unalloyed devotional service by careful worship of the spiritual master. And with a sharpened axe of transcendental knowledge, you should cut off the subtle material coverings of the soul. Upon realizing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you should then give up the axe of analytical knowledge. This analytical knowledge, Sankhya, here Krishna is actually talking about the Sankhya, analytical knowledge. Like this analytical knowledge is meant to come up to a certain point. So when you reach that point, you can throw it away. And this analytical knowledge has been compared to an axe. With this axe you cut the material attachments, and when you have cut the tree, what's the use of the axe? You can throw it away. But here again I will say that cutting this material attachment doesn't mean physically giving up your responsibility, especially for the householders. Rather, you understand your relationship with Krishna and develop that relationship and make others also develop that relationship. So, okay.